Ah, a tank that's just getting started. Here's a change for us. We've got 2 black and white clowns and some Current USA loop system pumps. So this tank is obviously just getting started. We've got the leather here. Looks like we have some zoas here, start a big zoa garden. Probably got some diatoms going on the rocks. For those of you that always ask about diatoms, the thing to do is nothing. It'll pass on its own. Just let it ride. Okay, so look. So someone's going to look at this and say, why do these corals look like not so pretty? Because he's got his tank on a daylight setting. But look, here's what I'm seeing, and this is what's showing me that this tank is getting going here. So he's got some frags here on frag plugs. These zoas are out. They're happy. I love the placement of the zoa garden. I'd start adding more zoas because these guys clearly look happy. Get some different colors going on. And he's already got to start with that. But I would keep adding to that there. I love that place for a zoa garden. All right, so we've got a Kenya tree over here. We've got what looks like maybe an elegance, which I don't know if I'd put that in the tank just yet, but it looks happy. Keep an eye on that, see where it goes. Kenya tree in the back. Not my first choice on coral, but not a bad starter coral. In time, he's probably going to want to move that out. If not, it's not a bad place for the Kenya tree. It's going to grow up, take up that back space. You may want to move that flow, those power heads forward a little bit so he's not blasting it so much. I like them on opposite ends, but may want to move them so they're not both on the back, just creating the flow more towards the back. May add some in time. We've got gear down the back of the tank. Ooh, so hopefully that's detachable because it looks like that could be fun to try to get a cord in or out of that. It's also below the water line, so there's some potential splash hazard here, but he's got a canopy and maybe solid backed, so it's not as big of a deal. There we go. So we got some Current USA loop lights here. I like how he has this canopy hinged. He can easily get to the lights. If he wants to take the lights out of the way, he can move them, get into the tank. Got an overflow box here. Okay, so a bit of experience that I'm seeing with this. That overflow box doesn't have a top on it. If you add wrasses, firefish to this tank, somehow they're going to end up getting in that small space on the overflow box cover. So put some mesh. You can put a piece of acrylic, black carbonate, something to cover up the top of that box so that those fish don't somehow find their way in. Because I promise you, they likely will, and then you got to deal with getting them through the box and down the pipes because there's just no way to fish them out if they're in that front part of the box. Go ahead and prevent that issue. But I also like how you added the exhaust fans in the canopy, pull that hot air out, only make those lights last longer and help make your tank run cooler as well. All right, so we've got lots of place for corals here. We've got some caves in the aquascaping. So look, to me, it's a little bit minimalistic aquascaping for my taste. I mean, I like the arch over here on the right. I would try to build it up just a little bit more, give me some more caves. You don't have to add like 40 more pounds of rock. But we're talking about, adding some more rocks, give it some more dimension. The minimal aquascape thing is the trend right now. It's not my taste. I also want to make sure that there's enough biological filtration in the form of rocks on this. Oh, look at this. This looks like a quarantine tank with a firefish in there. Hey, buddy. He's got a lid on it so it can't jump out, but he's got a light on it too, 2 heaters for redundancy. Look, he even cut the canopy. Look, back up, back up, back up. Check that out. He even cut the canopy around the hang-on back. That's a nice touch, and he's got a fan in here pulling out air. Ah, that's cool. This is well thought out. I dig it. A little nice DIY quarantine tank, but it's got some nice touch with it with the canopy. Hey, little firefish, what's going on, buddy? It's just you in there all alone? This almost looks like a 20 high from our budget build tank. Oh, now we're back to the main display. We're going to have a look underneath. Good job on quarantining your fish. I like to see that. All right, here we go. Here's the sump with a grow light here for which is now a cryptic zone that will likely expand out to be a refugium. We've got a Space Saver reef octopus skimmer there in the center. That's a great place to make the use of a little bit of space in a small sump. And a bucket, ooh, that's like a 7-gallon bucket for auto top off. Okay, so look, someone's going to want me to say something about that power strip. I might put it upside down in the bottom part of the stand, but it's away from the water, so not as much of a splash issue. Wonder what's with the vodka. Surely he doesn't have to vodka dose this tank at this stage in the game. Maybe that's his liquor cabinet where he hides it from his old lady. Look, things are clean in here. He painted the inside white. I like that. So he can easily find things that inadvertently always fall down behind the sump. We got fans in here as well. Some nice plumbing work, clean plumbing. So we'd use primer. I would have used a cleaner, but look, that's me really nitpicking things. So we've got some live rock here in the sump. That's good to see because, as I said, I didn't see a lot in the tank. But, you know, that's helping. Just make sure these nutrients stay in check. It's got 2 heaters for redundancy. Good call there. I mean, this has got some thought put into it, even though it's more of a budget system that's starting out. This doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but look, it's got some nice touches to it. It looks good, and it's got its best foot forward. 2 heaters for redundancy, fans to pull light or pull air out around the canopy. It's got a canopy on the quarantine tank. Look, he's even got a hose clamp here on the soft plumbing transition. Good call on this. I like to see this attention to detail. This will help the tank avoid the tank having issues down the line with things leaking, things popping off, people getting upset because of spilled water. Good to see. Good to see these little touches to me that jump out and shows me that this person's thinking about this, taking care of things. Okay, so look, maybe an Apex or some kind of tank controller like a Hydros is in this guy's future. I would go ahead and add it. He's got some good attention to detail. Why not give yourself some redundancy in the form of a tank controller? You go ahead and add that. Protect yourself with the heaters, water on floors, anything like that. You've got a great setup that's getting started, so why not protect this thing? Because you've put this much effort into it, the last thing you want to do is come back and have any kind of issue that could have been avoided with a tank controller. All right, let's take another look at this display wrap up here. In time, he's probably going to want more power heads, probably 2 more loops in there. Put some flow on the back, put some flow on the front. We're going to add that. He's probably got enough light over this tank. I would add another couple choice pieces of aquascape in there, like some real reef branch, just to give yourself a little more biological and more places for the fish to hide. Other than these 2 caves, there's not that many places for the fish to go. The more places they have to hide, the less they actually will. I got to give this guy props for the quarantine. Not only does he have a quarantine tank, but it's also thought out. It's got a canopy on it. I think, again, this is our 20 high from our budget build series. Perfect size for the smaller fish that are going to go into this tank. Hopefully it's not putting a tang into the tank, so everything will be comfortable in the tank in the quarantine. Okay, so someone's going to say, what about sand in the quarantine? This person is doing how I quarantine fish that need to live in the sand. For example, leopard wrasses, they want to hide in the sand, they want to feel comfortable in the sand. Ideally, you don't want an all sandy bottom in quarantine because that gives an easy place for diseases to attach. But he's got a little Tupperware container with some sand in it. That way that sand-dwelling fish can jump down into the sand and feel comfortable. And look, over time, the more it jumps into the sand at night, he's going to have to put that sand back in the container. But this is a great way to keep your quarantine mostly sterile by not having a bunch of sand in there, but also make those fish that want to live in the sand comfortable by giving them a place to go. So good job on quarantining the fish. Good job on thinking some things out in your tank, taking that extra step like clamping things off, painting things white, putting fans in your canopy. Make sure you cover up that overflow box because something's going to get down in there like that firefish right there. You've got 2 heaters everywhere. You've got some good redundancy going. Why not go ahead and put a tank controller on there and give yourself a little extra peace of mind on this, and write me back in a year. I want to see where this tank goes.